And recording. So, not too long ago, like something recent, I actually had a suggestion to react to Vintersea, the Holy Procession, and I was meaning to like wait a while before I got to it, just because it's kind of a recent suggestion. But I just finished reacting to Winter Sun, and when I was looking to my book here, Vintersea just kind of like popped up at me, and I was just like, it'd be kind of funny if I had those back to back. So why not? And I actually have it queued up here. Looks like this is actually really recent. It was premiered October 14th, so a little over a week ago. And it's about a 9-10 minute song, which is the kind of length that I like. I like when songs like approach or break the 10-minute mark because it lets me know that I'm in for like a little bit of a journey, and it lets me actually break down the compositions a little bit more. So I'm actually very excited. So, the Holy Procession. Let's see how dark this gets. Interesting. I'm gonna pause it right there and then backtrack a little bit because that drumming is like really interesting sounding. So this is cool. It's not quite what I was expecting. The beginning, the way it kind of like slowly came in, it was kind of delicate sounding. Um, the initial like drum pattern was again like kind of cool. There was a little bit of empty space in there, and it was a little, like, I don't want to call it odd, but it was like just an interesting pattern that kind of like brought me in. And then when it came in with that sort of quiet, sort of like picking, I was just like, all right, cool, cool. The intro's coming, and this is sounding really melodic, and it's nice. And her voice, like her singing clean voice, is good, and her growls are really good. I feel like she could go harder. Like there's a little bit more edge. It might also just be the way it's mixed, but I feel like there's that little extra bit that she can go to get me fully engaged. Because right now, like, I'm liking this, and I want to love it, but like I'm in that tottering kind of like edge where I want them to do something to push me over into like loving them a lot. There was a breakdown that happened a little under a minute ago where it got just really kind of frenetic and it sounded good. I'm getting the feeling like if I saw them live, it would be much, much better than this recording, like by like tenfold. And I'm not saying this song is bad or the recording's bad. They're good, and I like this. But even like the guitar riffs, the chugs, like I feel like the way it's mixed, like it just needs that extra little push, that extra little turn of the knob to make it sound just a smidge harder, to make me love them. Like it's almost like a sense of like they're holding back just a little bit, and I'm not sure why, but it could also just be the way I'm interpreting it and the way I'm kind of hearing it. But let's get back to it. There's still 6 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes. They might hit that switch, and that's part of the journey. It might just build. Go. Really love that. This sounds good. I like this a lot.
of time on everything that I once knew. Waves collide beneath my skin until I'm falling. Lights go out in unison to break. The holy procession will guide my way. Let me partake of the waters another day. The spring of salvation has sailed away. The embers of my youth shall fade. Fade to the holy procession will guide my way. Let me partake of the waters another day. The spring of salvation has sailed away. The embers of my youth shall fade, fade to gray.
I'm gonna move that back a little bit, especially since it's transitioning into that heavier section a lot, and I kind of like that. That whole slowed down portion that was really bass forward was awesome. That portion I liked so much, but it also had kind of more of an alternative feel to it, so it wasn't as metal as the rest of the bookends of the song so far. So it was a nice contrast. It sounded really good, and it fits her like clear voice a lot. I feel like there are portions of the song though where she's focusing too much on her enunciation. So it's kind of like throwing off the rhythm of her vocals. Like it's throwing it off a little bit. Like it's, I don't know if it's her being self conscious about it or something. I don't know, but it's really more like about saying the words correctly than it is like singing a melody, if that makes any sense. But she only does that in small portions of this. And the way that clean section from about the 3.5 minute mark up until the 5.5, 6 minute mark, the way that transitioned into the heavier portion, I can see why they mixed it the way they did, because it flows a lot better that way. So I think if the very beginning of the song, I think maybe needs a little bit more volume. That build that they had at the beginning with just the melodic piece and the drumming into the heavier section, if that first bit had just a little more volume, I think I wouldn't have had the initial problem I did with the riffs not necessarily going as hard, because the flow would have been better, I think. But I'm kind of like nitpicking. It's just sounding a certain way in my head right now. I'm actually going to backtrack a good 20, 30 seconds, I think. Get a better feel for the build. That with force. He's trying to kill her. Music's taking a darker tone. She is dead. she's gonna drown him. All right, so since she just drowned him, I'm gonna focus on the video aspect of this a little bit. Just because when they were showing everyone with the black veils in the church, it made me think, oh, they're at a funeral. This is procession, holy procession. So it might be like when they take the casket out and they kind of like parade it around the town just to kind of like celebrate and like tell people this person has died. I thought that's kind of what this was gonna be. Then once I put it together in my head that the bass player and the other people who were kind of like on the water, I was like, oh no, no, this is gonna be a switch, and they're actually going to like put them down in the water to like sanctify them, which is interesting because usually people wear white when you do that. So that turn when he went to actually like murder people and drown them, like you can kind of see that coming. But it's cool. It's a cool idea. I think I saw the turn when I saw the sort of sash around him, and then too when he had that little papyrus piece with the like Eldrick kind of writing on it, where it's just like, oh no, this isn't a church, it's a cult. So from a video narrative and a storytelling kind of thing, beautiful, cool, awesome idea. And like visually, like just seeing someone drown as the music sort of like pops and goes up and takes that weird sort of dark turn where it almost sounds like there was a violin playing, but I was just maybe getting that idea in my head. I'm gonna have to re-listen to that because it just started going into that dark place where that was just cool. That last 2 minute section, like that was great. That was really great. So now let's go back to the music. And obviously she was Black Wing. She was the angel of death. So back to the beginning. So the initial issues that I had with the song, which were minute and me nitpicking, are still there. But as the song progressed and I was able to hear more of the composition and hear more of the melodic portions and the more subdued pieces and the interesting drumming, the drummer, I love him so much. I kind of like went over that edge and now I actually do love this. I actually really love this. Um, I do kind of want the guitar chugging to be a little heavier and not like tuned down like a step or anything. It just needs to be heavier and higher in the mix. Like it just needs to be more present. So what I said earlier about them being like a better live band, I think if I was to hear and see this live, I would definitely enjoy it so much more. I kind of feel like even the singer's voice was a little bit overproduced too. So like in a live atmosphere, I feel like this would be a lot better. It's always strange when you hear a band. You usually think that the studio version is going to be better than the live version, or when you hear them live, like you want them to hit the heights that they hit in the studio. I think this is kind of the opposite. Like I feel like they were held back and limited a little bit by the studio. And if they were to play this live, like they'd actually like be so much better. But that's to be seen. I'm going to maybe a little bit after this I might see if I can find a live version of this song. Oof, I'm still getting repetitive now. Yeah, the enunciation was it was bothering me a little bit, but only in certain pieces. Um, the chugging riffs I wanted to hit a little harder. The beginning I felt was a little low in the mix, but those are the nitpicks. The flow and the kind of journey of the song was pretty damn good. Like pretty damn good. Um, the singer looks pretty young, so I'm guessing this is a newer band, possibly, maybe. Because I also haven't heard of them before either, and if they're newer and this is how they're kind of starting, I only have high hopes for the rest of their discography or their future music because this was already a banger. So yeah, yeah, I'm they can only get better from here. I think.